What's up, y'all? It's your boy KaiRas. I'm going to bring you probably the cringiest spec in the game right now. I know a lot of people are saying Prot Warrior is really not that good. I kind of beg to differ. Maybe it's not as tanky as some other tanks. It's definitely not as annoying, but it has some amazing, amazing pressure single target and cleave. Now, with the cleave, it's not insane, but it's not bad either. It's not a lot. It's not like a Frost DK putting Death and Decay on the ground and cleaving with Obliterate. It's obviously not that great, but we have a ton of bleed damage going into this patch, and we have a 50% damage reduction that debuffs a target up to 20 seconds if you mid-max it into a melee cleave or a caster cleave like a Shadow Priest, and they're getting slowed by you the entire game. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about Ravager. Yes, it is a minute and a half cooldown. You cannot reduce the cooldown with anger management, unfortunately. The Prot Warrior talent tree only works on, I believe, Shield Wall and Avatar, which Avatar, honestly, having a shorter cooldown is hilarious. It actually makes Avatar kind of insane with Prot. Okay, but to get into it, basically where all your pressure is going to come from with the Colossus Prot Warrior build, I think the Mountain Thane is going to be more kind of focused on sustained damage. I haven't really tested it, but I've done it with Colossus, and it is actually looking incredible as far as the potential of absolutely stomping some comps. You could probably run, let's say comp-wise, I can name a few up. Let's say with this build, since you're going to be peeling for someone basically the entire game and also dealing unhealable damage, especially with your big goes, and having a 20-second mid-max, or let's say even if it's 12 seconds of a 50% damage reduction. That's a huge number, guys. That's an absolutely massive number. That is a scary number, especially with a lot of specs getting buffs where they're actually looking like they're actually having a lot of kill pressure, and it's going to happen fast. So this is probably one of the best Mortal Strikes. I think Arms has it as well with Storm and Destruction, but it's not as strong because you do not get 2 charges of Ravager anymore. You only get 1. You only get what you get, right, with Arms. So, okay. What am I talking about? With the Storm of Destruction, all targets are snared by 60% for 6 seconds and decrease the healing taken by 50% for 10 seconds. Well, Ravager lasts for 10.6 seconds and deals X amount of damage. Of course, with this fully modified with all your damage, the 2 bleeds, basically this is like having 3 bleeds, and running the Colossus every Dragon Roar you have a Demolish. So just to kind of go into it, you know, we're going to start off with Thunderclap. We get all the slows, you know, we get deep wounds on them from auto attacking, and we get rend up on them. So basically, and you slow them as well, I believe, and you can get execute procs by doing this. So the way you're going to open is going to look something like this. Say you stun them all, you pop all your cooldowns, Ravager, Demolish, and you're attacking faster. And Ignore Pain for Prot actually works really well for doing damage. Buff's about to fall off again. Yes, I know it's not they're not crazy numbers, but they're not terrible either, right? So you're gonna reduce the damage they do from your PvP tree. You're gonna be spamming Ignore Pain. You want to be able to get procs of your Shield Slam, because Shield Slam does a ton of damage over the course of the game. Gonna slow them. Thunderclap. Well, we got another go. 3 million. 3.6 million. That's what I mean. The crit is ridiculous. Of course, it's going to look really weird once you go through it. But it's looking ridiculous. I still haven't fixed all my keybinds. Don't mind that little bit of thing. But anyway, Colossus Smash, or not Colossus Smash, Colossus Prot Warrior is actually looking disgusting going into the War Within. Some comp ideas would be Probably marksman, survival, or BM, basically any hunter comp. But I think what is it? Marksman's going to be the best one. Marksman's actually looking kind of nuts going into the season. Um, and the ability that they have to kite the entire game, and you're a prot warrior, so um, you're just you're just gonna be able to do way more damage by being absolutely annoying because you just you can run Rumbling Earth into Earthquaker. It just reduces the cooldown because it also sends them into the air. So even if they do trinket, they're sitting mid-air, right? So I mean they could still do something, but some classes they can't get out of it like a warrior. Obviously, it's kind of annoying because you can actually probably even if they're stun DR'd, I believe this might still go off, so you can still knock people in the air and use it as an interrupt, just as an idea, which is annoying. Um, let's see. There's not a lot of good talents for this. Um, Obviously, one against Mini, aerial arterial bleeding is going to be your single target. It's just going to increase the damage of your deep wounds and everything by 10%. Well, you have Bloodborne that's 30. Thunderous Words, now you have 60% increased bleed damage for those 45-second goes. And you have Ravager, which is reducing the healing that they take by 50%. And snaring them. So if you're playing with a marksman that has any AoE damage, if you're going into a melee comp, if you're going into a caster cleave, it is going to be disgusting. It is going to be absolutely ridiculous. Of course, with your talents, you can run Bodyguard, Disarm, Shield Bash, Dragon Roar, Safeguard, obviously, 20% reduced damage on whoever you use it on. Dragon Roar is just to be annoying. It just knocks people back. Warpath makes your Heroic Leap stun. But I think something like Thunderclap is going to be highly annoying because you're going to be thunderclapping more with your avatar with Unstoppable Force. Now, I've done some duels, and Prot Warrior actually feels unkillable with Second Wind. I think there are some classes that I kind of struggle against 1v1, and those would be like probably Ret because they're able to basically fight you at a distance. And you might say like, hey, that's also any caster. Well, casters can't really move all that well and still do their full damage rotation while moving. There are classes that do have to hard cast into you regardless. They're not going to be able to move and keep you snared forever. You're a fucking Prot Warrior. You're going to be slowing them and interrupting them and stunning them. You're going to catch them regardless. But anyway, this is just a little thing I wanted to put out. Colossus Prot Warrior for PvP is actually looking crazy because you basically have to play with a class with Mortal Strike, but every minute and a half, and you have 2 charges of it, so the entire opener can either be you swap, you just have insane pressure, and you kill in the opener, and if they want to drag it out, and you get that second, that third, fourth, fifth Ravager or whatever, like if it's a dampening comp, it just gets harder and harder to heal. And you're Prot, and you're taking so much less damage as if you were a Fury or Arms Warrior. And I know warriors take more damage. If you're a tank, you take more damage, but defensive stance additionally reduces magic damage you take by 6. So now it's 22% less damage, and you're sitting in D stance and defensive stance while you're taking 22% less damage from all magic sources, and you're a Prot Warrior. So if people that are hitting you are melee, you spam Seal Block. So it's kind of the best of both worlds for a warrior. You do insane damage, you do relatively okay sustain damage, and if you're playing with another class that has Mortal Strike and has strong options for damage and a consistent Mortal Strike, like literally anything, DH, hell, even an Assassination Rogue if they get crazy, another warrior. I mean, imagine 4 intervenes. Like especially if it's like a TSG comp and they're wanting to kill your healer. Imagine trying to kill through 4 intervenes that reduce the damage by 20% on on the target. That's going to be ridiculous, especially a Fury Warrior that has a lot of self sustain anyway. Um, so that's one thing. Fury Warriors have a lot of cleave and sustain pressure and damage. Uh, Arms does too, but Fury still feels tankier. Um, and you can peel for your team as a Prot Warrior exceptionally well. So, and you have options now. I think Prot Warrior is a little weaker in the caster comps, obviously, just like any melee. And this season's looking to be pretty caster dominant, but KFC kind of counters those comps, and so does DK and a couple other classes. Hell, you could even play with the Demo Lock. I know Demo Lock probably needs a buff. They're not looking very good either. I played a couple games on Demo, and it's like Shadow Bolt is my top damage. It was like really weird to see, but um, this is a troll build because the more rage you spend, you also heal for 1% of your health. That's not a lot, but let's say you spend, 60 rage. Well, there's 3% of your health back, and that's spamming Ignore Pain, right? And you're getting execute procs. So then all your damage and healing is doing a ton of damage. Practice Strike, Shield Slam, and Revenge deal 20% increased damage, and you're running Best Serve Cold. Revenge deals 10% damage or 20% more damage when your successful dodges or parries have made a cost no rage. So it's kind of funny how strong Prot's looking, and you already have a ton. Like I think you have like 16 million or 17 million health in PvP, and everybody else has like 6, 7, 8 million health. So you're just like a monster. You're an absolute HP monster. So even if they're doing a ton of damage to you, you're spending rage and you're spamming Ignore Pain or Shield Wall, combination of everything. And if they're hitting you anyway, you're going to be generating rage through the roof anyway. So kind of best of both worlds. Of course, the scaling will depend, but let's pop all our damage and see what happens, right? Demolish. I'm still like getting used to the whole rotation, but honestly, Execute is doing a ton of damage too. It feels really, really good actually going into this season. So, and we'll have Avatar back up too. So that's a nice one. And you also have several things that actually buff your Shield Slam, and I believe your Shield Slam by 200%. Yeah, and that's at what, 10 stacks? At 8, okay. So let's say, okay, we're going to cast Demolish, we're going to do a ton of damage. Shield Slam, 300k, yeah, it's not a lot, relatively speaking, 830k. Of course, this is not counting, versatility or anything else, but you're also going to be attacking faster, and you're just going to be peeling for your team. Oh, and you're going to have Ravager be dealing X amount more damage and everything else, because if you're cleaving with it, and it's also doing, let's say, I think it's about 800k, yeah, 772k. I think in PvP it'll scale more, so, even though the versatility reduces damage, I think right now it says it's like 30-some%, a little bit less with enchants or something like that. It's still looking really good. But the ultimate troll spec, I think, going into this season for a lot of melee comps, even with the casters, I think Prot Warrior is actually looking really good because 22% less damage, you're spending Ignore Pain, you can get Avatar back really quickly, so that's, I think, 15% more damage? Or is it 20% in PvP? I think that was Arms and Fury, I could be wrong, but... Demolish is hitting really hard. I think I'm going to work on Mountain Thane a little bit. I think it's more or less more of a sustained build. I'm not really sure. But I think it's going to look really good, especially... I'm still kind of just playing with it. But I feel like I've gotten this one down. But Thorum's Might is looking really, really kind of spicy with that execute damage. I do like Demolish because if it does crit, it does hit insanely hard. I think I've hit people for about 3 million, which, is pretty disgusting for a prot or tank spec and um, anything right now, especially when people have health pools of, like 6, 7, 8, 9 million, depending on the spec and what talents they take. Prot's about 16, 17, 18 million health. So just kind of a funsy little troll spec. So I just wanted to show you guys kind of what's going on. They buffed all tanks, and it's kind of made me have kind of more of a peak interest in tanks, because I know tanks were kind of doing low shit DPS, and now they're actually kind of pumping, and tanks are already more annoying in PvP, and there's so many good classes going in. So if you can make someone else invincible, but you actually have some really good pressure, and you also have team utility and offensive cooldowns like Ravager, slowing the target and reducing the healing they're taking by 50%. Imagine a 3-minute game and you use Ravager 4 times. And they stack in it, let's say, 50% of the time. Well, that's 4 Ravagers, so that's already 40 seconds. And now you're 1 whole minute of that game. They've got 50% less healing. So a quarter of the time, they have 50% less healing the entire game. Let's just say. Let's even say it's 50 seconds, 55 seconds, a minute. Let's say it's a melee cleave. And now that turns into X amount. That's going to be disgusting. That's going to be super hard for any healer to queue and try to heal and deal with that, especially when the enemy team is getting PO'd by you and you're micro rooting, and you're stunning them all on a 20-second cooldown. Just a fancy little idea to be extra annoying into this patch. Fury and Arms are already looking insane. Everything's looking really good for Warrior, but Prot might actually have some play. I'm actually thinking about leveling another Warrior and running Prot specifically with like a Marksman Hunter, and I would say like an H-Pala. Like the good old KFC days of Wrath of the Lich King. But I just wanted to bring in Colossus Prot Warrior and just show you some of the damage and talents that are going into this patch, and it is looking kind of ridiculous. So I'm going to kind of mess with Arms a little more. I think Arms is going to suffer because obviously it's an Arms Warrior. They don't have a lot of self-sustain until they get low. Fury at least has something. I'm not really sure yet. But Arms and Fury are looking neck and neck, but I think Fury is going to pull ahead. But Prot might actually have some play, especially in some solo shuffles. I'm not sure yet, but it's looking pretty hilarious. But anyway, guys, I wanted to show you what might be BiS in the War Within for Prot Warrior. If you're just one of those people that just, you get bored of doing the raid, you got nothing to do all week, why not try some PvP and absolutely dominate the ladder and hit 2400 for the first time as a Prot Warrior in solo shuffle for the season? Or get your first 2100 and twos just being a dirty animal or something like that. Just be cringy. Who cares? It's a fucking video game. But you guys have fun, and I hope you guys enjoy the War Within, and see y'all later.